Have you ever felt like something deep inside you is dying, even though your life on the surface seems fine? Do you feel disconnected, numb, or like you're just going through the motions, with no real sense of meaning or purpose? Nietzsche warned that modern life, with all its comforts and distractions, is slowly eroding the very core of who we are. In this video, I'm going to take you through Nietzsche's most powerful predictions and show you how they're playing out in our world today. We'll uncover how the relentless pursuit of comfort, technology, and consumerism is robbing us of our souls, and why this might be the reason you feel unfulfilled. By the end, you'll understand how to break free from this soul-crushing cycle and reclaim your life, your identity, and your true potential. Are you ready to face the uncomfortable truths and take control? Let's dive in. Nietzsche's last man isn't a literal figure, but rather a representation of what society becomes when it ceases to strive for greatness. Imagine a world where comfort and security trump ambition and personal growth. This is the last man, a being satisfied with mediocrity, content with simple pleasures, and deeply uninterested in transcending their limitations. Modern society, in its pursuit of ease, breeds this complacency. People today live in a constant search for instant gratification, scrolling endlessly through social media feeds or binge-watching the latest show, never stopping to ask if this is the life they truly want. This is where the danger lies. People have grown so accustomed to the comforts that modern life offers, they no longer see the need to push themselves. Life's challenges are often met with avoidance or distraction. This is where Nietzsche's warning resonates: comfort breeds stagnation. The last man doesn't hunger for growth, nor does he care about striving for excellence. He's already good enough. It's as if we've created a world designed to keep us stuck in place, with no real desire to evolve. Isn't that the irony of modern life? Everyone's striving for comfort, but comfort is exactly what kills progress. But think about it for a moment. Why do we settle for this? Why are so many people afraid to reach for something greater? It's because the path to greatness isn't easy. It demands discomfort, struggle, and sacrifice. The last man, however, seeks to avoid all of that, opting instead for a life of predictability and safety. And in doing so, loses the essence of what it means to truly live. It's easier to live in a world where nothing challenges you, but that's not living, it's existing. In avoiding difficulty, we avoid growth. The irony is, the more we try to protect ourselves from hardship, the more we trap ourselves in a cage of mediocrity. This complacency isn't just an individual issue, it's societal. We live in a world where mediocrity is praised, where the idea of just enough is the standard. Schools, workplaces, and even social circles have begun to reward the bare minimum. Why strive for something extraordinary when good enough will do? The last man is celebrated in today's society because, well, he fits right in. He's not a threat to the status quo, he's the product of it. And as much as modern society pushes us toward comfort, it also robs us of the very essence of who we could be. It's a vicious cycle of safety over strength, mediocrity over greatness. When we step outside this comfort zone, however, things start to shift. The first step is recognizing the trap. The world has created a system that encourages you to live small, to settle. It's time to ask, what would it mean to stop being the last man? To challenge the status quo? To step into discomfort and embrace the struggle? These aren't just rhetorical questions, they're a challenge to you. A challenge to break free from the soul-crushing grip of mediocrity. Are you willing to accept that challenge? If so, brace yourself. The journey ahead requires something far greater than just existing. It demands you confront yourself head-on and be ready for the transformation. And what comes next? The moment you dare to push past comfort, you start to see a glimmer of something else, something Nietzsche called the Übermensch. It's the potential within us to transcend the last man. But what happens when society, in its insistence on mediocrity, actively works against that very potential? That's what we'll explore next. Think about this. When was the last time you truly challenged yourself? Not just another routine task, but a deep, existential challenge, something that demands everything from you. Nietzsche's concept of the Übermensch, or the Overman, is precisely that, the embodiment of human potential at its highest. The Overman isn't just about achieving success, it's about transcending mediocrity, rising above societal limitations, and forging a new path. But here's the catch. Modern life is designed to suppress this potential. Society today, with its emphasis on equality and comfort, has created a system that discourages greatness. Instead of pushing us to become our best selves, it encourages us to stay within the safe, familiar boundaries. In Nietzsche's world, The Übermensch was the individual who rejected the status quo, who forged their own values in a world that had lost its traditional moral framework. But today, that very pursuit is mocked or silenced. We've built a world where conformity is celebrated, where everyone is expected to fit neatly into the same mold. People often claim they want to be their own person. But are they really? Or are they simply following the herd, afraid to step into the unknown? The truth is, in a world that worships equality, individuality becomes a rare and dangerous pursuit. To be great in today's world means to go against the tide, to reject the complacency of the masses. But how many people are willing to do that? Consider how modern life revolves around comfort. From the soft glow of a screen to the endless entertainment options, everything is designed to keep you comfortable. But greatness doesn't come from comfort. It never has. Greatness requires discomfort, struggle, and a willingness to suffer. Yet today, suffering is avoided at all costs. People are encouraged to take the easy route, to seek quick rewards, and to numb themselves with distractions. But as Nietzsche predicted, this path leads not to fulfillment, but to the death of the Übermensch. When comfort becomes the highest value, the soul shrivels and personal potential is stifled. Why do we settle for less? Why do we allow ourselves to be governed by the pull of comfort and safety? It's because modern society has conditioned us to think that comfort is success. Look around. Success isn't about greatness anymore. It's about fitting in. It's about making sure your life looks good on social media, checking all the boxes, and pleasing others. We've been led to believe that personal achievement is about avoiding discomfort, not embracing it. But think about the greatest achievers in history. Did they get there by staying in their bubble? No, they thrived because they broke free from the limitations of their time and pushed against the boundaries. And that's exactly what modern society is trying to prevent. It's no wonder that many people feel lost, disconnected, and unfulfilled. Society has become a machine that churns out the same predictable, mediocre lives day after day. The overman, the one who dares to rise above, is becoming a dying breed. But this isn't just some philosophical ideal, it's a call to action. It's a reminder that you have within you the power to break free, to step outside the comfort zone, and to become more than what society expects of you. But that's not something society will encourage. It won't hand it to you on a silver platter. It's up to you to reject the mediocrity that surrounds you and start living with purpose. But there's a catch, isn't there? The road to greatness isn't easy. In fact, it's almost never easy. The comfort of modern life, while enticing, is a seductive trap. It whispers, "Why try so hard? Just relax, settle down, and enjoy life." But that's the same whisper that keeps you from becoming who you were meant to be. So what's next? The truth is, if you want to become the overman, you must learn to reject the comforts of the modern world and embrace the discomfort of growth. It's a choice you have to make. And in the next step, we'll dive into why modern life, with its shallow values and hollow comforts, breeds something far worse than mediocrity. It breeds nihilism. Have you ever felt that deep, gnawing emptiness inside, the sense that no matter what you achieve, it doesn't truly matter? Welcome to the nihilistic void, the inevitable result of modern society's decay. Nietzsche warned us about this, how the collapse of traditional values would lead to a world devoid of meaning. Without a clear sense of purpose, people turn to fleeting distractions, searching for meaning in all the wrong places. But in this search, we've only dug ourselves deeper into despair. How many times have you felt that your life has no inherent purpose, no greater meaning? It's the creeping reality of nihilism taking hold. And yet, we continue to chase after empty pursuits. Think about it. Religion, culture, morality. These pillars have been systematically eroded in modern society. With the rise of secularism and the rejection of transcendent values, we've lost the guiding compass that once helped people make sense of their lives. What's left? A vacuum. A void that people desperately try to fill with consumer goods, fleeting pleasures, or the hollow pursuit of fame and status. The problem is, nothing can truly fill that void. Nihilism is the realization that all these things, these distractions, are meaningless in the grand scheme of existence. It's the sickness of the modern soul, and yet, we continue to ignore the symptoms. Nihilism isn't just some abstract philosophical concept. It's a disease that affects millions of people today. It manifests in the emptiness that consumes those who have everything, yet feel nothing. It's in the people who climb the corporate ladder, only to realize it was leaning against the wrong wall. It's in the disillusioned youth, who wonder if their efforts even matter in a world where everything seems to be falling apart. This isn't just a problem of philosophy, It's a crisis of the human spirit. And the worst part is, we've accepted it as normal. We've normalized the void. But why? Modern society tells us that we should be happy, that everything should have a clear, measurable outcome. Yet, in trying to quantify happiness, we've stripped it of its richness. Nietzsche foresaw that the abandonment of traditional values would lead us to a state of spiritual bankruptcy. Without values to hold on to, without a moral framework, we lose the ability to define ourselves. Instead of embracing life's challenges and struggles, we resort to numbing our pain with distractions. But this only deepens the void. The more we ignore it, the more we become trapped in our own despair. It's easy to blame the state of the world, to point fingers at politics or the decline of culture. But what if the problem is much closer to home? What if it's in the way we've been conditioned to think, to live, and to believe? Modern life has created a world where people are so detached from their true selves, they no longer know what they're searching for. They don't know what truly matters. And so they search endlessly, hoping that something, anything, will provide the meaning that their empty lives lack. But it's a search that leads nowhere. The more you look, the more you realize there's nothing out there to fill the void. We have to ask ourselves, how long can we keep living like this? How long can we keep pretending that the search for meaning doesn't matter, or that the void is something we can fill with distractions? Nietzsche's message is clear. If we do not reclaim our values, if we do not find a higher purpose to give our lives meaning, then we will continue to sink further into the abyss of nihilism. It's up to each of us to seek meaning beyond the shallow comforts of modern life. But the question is, are you ready to face the abyss and reclaim your soul, or will you continue to drift aimlessly in the tide of nihilism? Have you ever caught yourself scrolling endlessly, your finger flicking over your phone, yet feeling more disconnected with every swipe? It's the paradox of the modern age. Technology, which was supposed to bring us closer, has instead driven us further apart. Nietzsche saw it coming long before we had smartphones or social media. He warned of a future where technology would strip away our authentic experiences, making us slaves to convenience. Today, we find ourselves living in a world where real human interaction is replaced by the hollow glow of screens, where connection is reduced to a few fleeting characters on a digital platform. Is this really progress? Think about the moments that once felt meaningful, the conversations, the shared experiences, the face-to-face connections that shaped us. Now, those moments are increasingly outsourced to virtual spaces. We're told that technology brings efficiency, that it makes life easier, more comfortable. But is that comfort really worth the cost? As we become more reliant on technology, we find ourselves detached from the very essence of what it means to be human, to connect, to feel, to experience life in its raw form. Technology is convenient, yes, but it's also a barrier, a wall between us and the deeper parts of ourselves. Have we really gained anything meaningful by trading real experiences for synthetic ones? Nietzsche's idea of the will to power was about creating, experiencing, and asserting one's essence. But today, most people are caught in a loop of digital distractions, endlessly consuming information, without ever truly engaging with it. Our lives have become more about maintaining a digital presence than cultivating a real, meaningful existence. We're more connected than ever, yet the loneliness has never been more palpable. What happened to the depth of experience? What happened to living fully in the moment, instead of living for the next notification, the next like, or the next click? Is the price of constant connectivity really worth losing touch with our authentic selves? The tyranny of technology has led to a new form of alienation. We've created a world where everything is mediated by devices, where our very existence is quantified by data and virtual approval. This hyper-connected world has fragmented our sense of self, leaving us at the mercy of algorithms that dictate our attention and emotions. Every notification, every new post, every message pulls us further from the ground we once stood on. It's a strange form of slavery, one that hides behind the illusion of freedom. Are we truly free, or are we just prisoners of the devices we've allowed to control us? Nietzsche believed in the power of the individual to shape their own destiny. But in today's world, individuality is often drowned out by the noise of constant digital engagement. We've been conditioned to respond, to react, to follow trends, rather than to create and innovate for ourselves. The very tools that were meant to connect us are the ones that disconnect us from our true purpose. As we continue to hand over more of our lives to technology, we risk losing the capacity for authentic experience altogether. What happens to the soul when it becomes more comfortable in the artificial than in the real? If Nietzsche were alive today, Would he see the world we live in as a triumph of human progress, or as a deep betrayal of what it means to truly live? We've allowed technology to enslave us under the guise of convenience and connection, and in doing so, we've lost touch with the power of authentic human experience. It's time to stop accepting the tyranny of technology. It's time to reclaim the depth of life, the rawness of experience, and the realness of human connection. Are you ready to disconnect from the artificial and reconnect with the truth of who you are? Have you ever felt empty after buying something you thought would bring you joy? Maybe it was the latest gadget, a new pair of shoes, or an impulsive splurge on something you didn't need. It's a hollow feeling, isn't it? This is the dark truth of consumerism. It promises fulfillment, but delivers only fleeting satisfaction. Nietzsche, with his sharp insight into human nature, understood this long before the age of flashy advertisements and endless credit card offers. To him, the constant pursuit of material goods is a trap, a soul-sucking cycle that leads to a life devoid of deeper meaning. But are we even aware of how deeply we've fallen into this trap? Modern society tells us that success equals accumulation. Buy more, own more, and you'll be happy. But at what cost? In our race to possess more things, we've lost sight of what truly nourishes the soul. Instead of cultivating inner strength, wisdom, or passion, we chase after the superficial markers of success. Consumerism feeds on our insecurities, offering temporary relief but never addressing the underlying emptiness we feel. It's a cycle of dissatisfaction disguised as progress. Is it any wonder that so many people feel disconnected, anxious, or unfulfilled, despite living in the most materialistically advanced era in history? Nietzsche warned that when we define ourselves by what we own, we surrender our most essential power, our individuality. The soul is not measured by possessions or status symbols. True fulfillment comes from within, from the strength to overcome challenges, to grow, and to create meaning from our own experiences. But consumerism makes us forget this. We're taught to define ourselves by the things we can buy, the brands we wear, and the lives we project online. In the end, this leaves us trapped in an identity that is built on external validation rather than authentic self-expression. How much of who you are is defined by what you own? Take a moment to reflect. How often do you find yourself comparing your life to the curated perfection you see in advertisements or social media? Every day, we're bombarded with the message that we need more to be more. But what happens when we reach the end of that road? What happens when we've accumulated everything society says we should have, but still feel empty inside? Nietzsche would argue that we've lost touch with what truly matters: the development of the inner self, the pursuit of personal excellence, and the creation of meaning through struggle and growth. In our quest for more, we have overlooked the most vital aspect of our existence, our soul. Consumerism also promotes an illusion of security. We are led to believe that happiness and satisfaction are just one purchase away, that we can fix ourselves by buying the right products or living the right lifestyle. But this illusion is fleeting. The more we indulge in consumerism, the more we lose our sense of purpose, our capacity for deep reflection, and our connection to the things that actually matter. We've traded our spiritual wealth for material comfort, and in doing so, we've made ourselves spiritually bankrupt. Have we truly become more, or have we simply learned to fill our lives with distractions? Nietzsche understood the importance of struggle and sacrifice in shaping the soul. But in today's consumer-driven society, sacrifice has become a foreign concept. We no longer make sacrifices for a higher purpose. Instead, we make sacrifices to satisfy our immediate desires. We're driven by consumption, not by purpose. And in the process, the depth of our souls withers away. The path to true fulfillment, according to Nietzsche, is not through acquisition, but through self-overcoming. So ask yourself, are you feeding your soul with material possessions, or are you starving it in the pursuit of hollow comforts? Is your life too comfortable? Do you find yourself avoiding challenges, looking for the easiest path, or seeking the quickest way to feel secure? In the age of endless convenience, it's easy to fall into the trap of safety. Modern life has become a carefully curated cocoon of comfort. Everything is designed to make us feel safe, protected, and free from discomfort. But what if this constant pursuit of safety is the very thing that is killing your potential? Nietzsche saw comfort as the enemy of growth, a prison that prevents us from becoming who we are truly meant to be. Are you aware of how deeply comfort has chained your soul? Think about it. What did you have to fight for today? The fact is, most of us don't fight for anything anymore. We wake up, go to work, do what we need to get by, and retreat to the safety of our homes at the end of the day. Where's the challenge? Where's the struggle that forces you to grow, to break through your limits, and to evolve? Nietzsche understood that struggle is the crucible in which we forge strength, resilience, and character. Without hardship, without moments of deep discomfort, we stagnate. But in today's world, we are addicted to avoiding discomfort. We spend more time insulating ourselves from pain than we do embracing it. Is that really living or just existing? The obsession with safety is pervasive, insidious even. We see it in the way we've structured our lives: secure jobs, stable relationships, predictable routines. Everything is designed to minimize risk. But when did you last do something that terrified you? When did you last push yourself to the edge of your comfort zone, where true transformation happens? Nietzsche argued that life's most meaningful experiences are the ones that come from stepping into the unknown, from embracing the pain and uncertainty that comes with growth. Are you choosing safety over the very experiences that can give your life depth and meaning? This addiction to comfort isn't just a personal issue, it's a societal problem. Modern culture praises stability, consistency, and security, while it punishes risk, change, and the unknown. But what is the result of this collective addiction? Mediocrity. We settle for lives that are good enough. But are they really fulfilling? True greatness, according to Nietzsche, doesn't come from the safe and comfortable paths. It's born from struggle, from the willingness to endure pain, to face adversity, and to rise stronger. Are you living for comfort, or are you living to grow? If you find yourself clinging to comfort, ask yourself, what are you afraid of? What lies beyond your fear that could transform your life forever? The truth is, the more we seek safety, the more we lose touch with the very essence of who we are. We become passive observers of life rather than active participants. Nietzsche believed that only through struggle do we reclaim our power, our will to live fully. By avoiding discomfort, we avoid the very experiences that could make us stronger. And in doing so, we erode our potential. Is it worth it to live a life of safety, only to realize too late that you've never truly lived at all? Now, imagine what your life would look like if you decided to embrace discomfort. What if you confronted the challenges you've been avoiding, stepped into the unknown, and allowed yourself to grow through adversity? Nietzsche's philosophy is not one of passivity. It's one of action, courage, and self-overcoming. It's about rejecting the comfort of mediocrity in favor of the discomfort that comes with becoming the highest version of yourself. The question is, are you willing to step into the struggle, or will you remain safe in the shadows of your potential? When was the last time you did something for yourself, without worrying about what others think? Today, it seems that our worth is tied to the approval of others. We crave likes, followers, and compliments, believing that these external validations are what define us. But Nietzsche warned of the danger of this. When you let others determine your value, you surrender your own will. You become a slave to the opinions of others, constantly measuring your success through their eyes. Are you truly living your life, or are you just performing for an audience? Social media, with its constant bombardment of likes and comments, has become the modern measuring stick for self-worth. We post a picture, check for validation, and feel a fleeting sense of satisfaction when the world approves. But in that moment, we are no longer the masters of our own identity. We are governed by the reactions of others. Nietzsche understood that true power comes from within, from a deep, unshakable belief in one's own worth. When you rely on others to tell you who you are, you lose the very essence of individuality. Is your soul defined by others, or do you shape it with your own hands? The modern obsession with external approval is deeply tied to the fear of rejection and failure. We avoid taking risks because we're terrified of the judgment that might follow. Nietzsche saw this as a weakness, a surrender to the herd mentality. The more you seek approval, the more you diminish your own autonomy. Instead of embracing your unique path, you begin to follow the crowd, living a life that is not truly yours. How often do you compromise your own desires just to fit in? How many times have you silenced your own voice in favor of someone else's? We are addicted to the validation that comes from external sources, but in doing so, we forget how to cultivate our inner strength. We forget how to trust our instincts and make decisions based on what we truly believe is right. Nietzsche's concept of the will to power emphasizes the importance of individual will, of creating one's own values, independent of the expectations of others. When we constantly seek external validation, we neglect the powerful, self-determined will that can lead us to greatness. Are you willing to free yourself from this addiction? This addiction to validation has a deep psychological toll. It creates a fragile sense of self, one that is easily shaken by criticism or rejection. You become dependent on others to feel good about yourself, and in doing so, you lose the strength to stand on your own. Nietzsche warned that this dependency makes us vulnerable. We stop being creators of our own lives and start living in reaction to the world around us. We become shadows of our potential. How long will you let this dependency control you? The antidote to this disempowerment lies in reclaiming your will, the will to act, to decide, and to live according to your own principles. It requires the courage to step away from the validation of others and trust in your own judgment. Nietzsche's philosophy encourages you to break free from the chains of external approval and to embrace the discomfort of self-reliance. It's time to stop living for others and start living for yourself. Are you ready to empower your own will, or will you continue to live as a spectator in your own life? When was the last time you truly felt like yourself? Modern life is a constant push to wear masks, to perform roles that society expects of us. From our jobs to our social interactions, we are pressured to conform, to fit in, to be like everyone else. But in doing so, we fragment our identity. We become a collection of roles, a patchwork of expectations, and in this process, we lose touch with who we really are. Nietzsche foresaw this disconnect. He saw it as the ultimate betrayal of our own authenticity. How much longer will you let society dictate who you should be? In the pursuit of societal approval, we silence the voice of our inner self. We wear the right clothes, follow the right career path, and say the right things to fit in. But this creates a crisis of authenticity. How many times have you compromised your true desires to gain acceptance? Nietzsche warned that when we abandon our inner will in favor of external expectations, we abandon our very essence. The soul becomes divided, and we cease to recognize ourselves. Have you noticed how, the more you conform, the further you drift from your own center? We are constantly bombarded by messages telling us how to look, how to act, how to think. The result is a fragmented identity, where we are no longer a singular, whole being but a collection of pieces, each one tailored to a different role we are expected to play. Think about your social media presence. Is it a reflection of your authentic self, or a curated persona crafted for likes and validation? Nietzsche's concept of the Übermensch stands in stark contrast to this, urging us to create an identity that is entirely our own, not shaped by the forces around us. How much of your identity is truly yours? But it's not just the pressure of society that causes fragmentation. It's the internal conflict that arises when we try to meet these external demands. When you try to fit into a mold that isn't yours, your true self is pushed deeper into the shadows. It's like living in constant tension, never fully at ease with who you are. This inner discord is destructive, leaving us feeling lost and disconnected. Nietzsche believed that we must face this struggle head-on, break free from societal constraints, and rediscover our authentic self. Can you even hear your own desires beneath the noise of society's expectations? The modern obsession with external success further fragments the self. As we chase after external markers of achievement, titles, wealth, followers, we move further away from our true purpose. We are caught in a cycle of validation and comparison, constantly measuring ourselves against others. Nietzsche warned that this pursuit of external recognition pulls us away from the soul's deeper calling. In striving to fit into a world that doesn't recognize our uniqueness, we lose the very thing that gives us meaning. Have you stopped questioning what truly matters to you? To reclaim our identity, Nietzsche challenges us to reject the false roles imposed by society and to embrace the struggle of self-overcoming. This means confronting the tension between our true self and the false selves we've adopted. It's a difficult, uncomfortable process, but it's the only way to rediscover the depth and authenticity of who we are. The soul can only find peace when it is aligned with its true purpose, free from the pressures of conformity. Are you ready to step out of the shadows and into the light of your authentic self? When was the last time you truly faced hardship? The kind of hardship that leaves you battered, broken, and yet somehow stronger? In today's world, pain and sacrifice have become the ultimate taboos. Society tells us that we should avoid suffering at all costs, take the easy route, eliminate discomfort, and seek pleasure. But what if the very thing we're avoiding is the key to our growth? Nietzsche saw suffering not as something to be feared, but as a necessary crucible through which we are transformed. So why do we run from it? Look around. How often do you see people running away from discomfort? We numb ourselves with distractions, social media, entertainment, consumption. We fill the void with anything that keeps us from confronting our pain. But in avoiding suffering, we also avoid the possibility of profound change. Nietzsche argued that pain is an essential part of self-overcoming. It is through suffering that we break free from the chains of mediocrity, that we shed our old selves and emerge stronger. So, what are we really sacrificing when we choose comfort over struggle? The irony is that by avoiding pain, we are actually trapping ourselves in a cycle of stagnation. Think about it. When was the last time you grew in a meaningful way without facing some kind of struggle? Real growth comes from confronting obstacles head-on, from feeling the weight of adversity and learning to carry it. But modern life teaches us to seek the path of least resistance. It tells us that suffering is a sign of failure, when in fact, it is the most powerful catalyst for personal transformation. Are we missing the point by trying to bypass pain? In Nietzsche's view, the soul that avoids suffering becomes weak, fragile, and ultimately unfulfilled. The desire for a life free of pain leads us to neglect the very core of our being, the will to power. Without struggle, we stagnate. And yet, we continue to idolize comfort, making decisions that protect us from facing the depths of our own vulnerability. But in this pursuit of safety, we forfeit the chance to become the best versions of ourselves. How much longer will you let fear of pain dictate your life? There's something deeply tragic in this avoidance of suffering. We create a culture that celebrates ease, that values comfort over challenge, and as a result, we lose the opportunity to discover the depths of our own strength. Nietzsche's Übermensch is a figure who embraces hardship, who uses pain as a tool to sharpen their will. They don't run from the struggle, they welcome it. They understand that it is only through overcoming that they can grow. Are you ready to embrace the pain that will forge you into something greater? Suffering is not just about enduring, it's about transforming. It's about facing the darkness within and emerging from it with a renewed sense of self. But modern life doesn't want you to know this. It wants you to remain in the safe, shallow waters of comfort, never diving into the deep, turbulent ocean of true personal growth. Nietzsche's message is clear: stop running from pain. Embrace it. Use it as the fire that refines you. The real question is, are you brave enough to face it? What if the true enemy of our soul isn't the world around us, but the world we've allowed inside of us? Nietzsche's philosophy is not just a critique of society. It's a call to action, a cry to reclaim our most essential human nature. In an era that seeks comfort over greatness, safety over strength, and pleasure over purpose, Nietzsche urges us to reject the false promises of modernity and embrace struggle as a pathway to the soul's rebirth. But are you willing to answer that call? Or will you remain complacent, caged by the very comforts you seek? Modern life has become a battlefield for the soul, and the weapons are not physical, they are psychological. In the pursuit of comfort, we have allowed ourselves to be diminished, reduced to mere shadows of our potential. Nietzsche understood this long ago. To live a life of meaning, we must confront our fears, challenge our limitations, and dare to be uncomfortable. Have you grown too accustomed to your own distractions, to the noise that drowns out your inner voice? The truth is, only in silence can you hear the deeper call to rise above mediocrity. It's easy to blame the world for its chaos, for its distractions, for its demands. But the real question is, what are you doing about it? Are you merely surviving, drifting through life as the last man? Or are you taking the harder path of the Übermensch, the one who overcomes, transforms, and forges their own meaning in the fire of adversity? Nietzsche didn't offer easy answers. He offered something much more difficult, the challenge to shape your own destiny, no matter the cost. What will your answer be when faced with the opportunity to truly live? The tragedy of modern life is that we are surrounded by endless distractions that prevent us from confronting the most important battle of all, the battle for our own soul. The tyranny of technology, the allure of consumerism, the obsession with safety, they all pull us away from the struggle that defines true human existence. Yet, in avoiding pain and difficulty, we lose sight of the greatest gift we can give ourselves, the ability to evolve, to grow, to break free from the shackles of comfort. Are you ready to face the discomfort that will ultimately set you free? Nietzsche's call is not just a philosophy, it is a summons to a life that burns with intensity, with purpose, with authenticity. It's a challenge to stop living according to the expectations of society, to reject the herd mentality that keeps us small. It's a reminder that our greatest potential is realized not in our victories, but in how we rise from our defeats, how we transform suffering into strength. Can you step into the fire of your own life and allow it to burn away the distractions, the fears, and the self-doubt that hold you back? Reclaiming the soul isn't a passive act. It demands action, courage, and an unrelenting commitment to truth. Nietzsche's philosophy teaches us that to embrace life's struggles is to embrace life itself. Every obstacle becomes an opportunity for self-overcoming. So the question you must ask yourself is, are you ready to live authentically, to pursue your deepest desires, and to confront the discomfort that will shape you into the person you were always meant to be? Or will you let modernity destroy the very soul that makes you human? If you feel the pull of Nietzsche's philosophy, if his challenge resonates deep within you, then it's time to take the next step. Don't let the distractions of modern life dictate your path any longer. Embrace the struggle. Break free from mediocrity. Reclaim your soul. If you're ready to rise above the comfort, the distractions, and the noise, subscribe now. Join the journey of self-overcoming, and let's dive deeper into the truth of who you are meant to become. Your transformation starts today. Don't wait for life to force you into change. Make the choice to change now. Hit that subscribe button, and let's continue this conversation. Are you ready to embrace your true power?